Hi guys, for this video, video number 15 for the Canon EOS 60D, we're going to have a look at custom function menu number 4, operation and others. Okay, so custom function menu 4, operation and others. Item 1. We have here within item 1 a number of options to choose from, and it's for the configuration of the autofocus, not so much the autofocus mode, but which button activates the autofocus and the metering as well, and also the auto exposure lock. Now, on Canon cameras, the auto exposure lock is the button which you can see here. It has a star symbol which you can't see on the back of the camera, it's just on top there, whereby on a semi-automatic mode such as shutter priority or aperture priority, you can tap that so you can meter, lock the exposure, recompose and shoot without the exposure shifting, because you've moved the frame and the camera could re-meter. So if you're shooting in a semi-automatic mode, maybe it could be for sports or wildlife, that could be a reason why you would use that mode. Okay, now the AF on function, autofocus on, you can see here auto function on. On some cameras when you set this up it becomes a secondary function on one of these rear buttons, but we have a dedicated button here on the 60D. Now this button can either be active or not active, and you can have it so when you thumb press this button the autofocus will activate for you. You could want to do that because you might want to half press to activate your meter to get your meter reading, recompose, and then use a separate button for your autofocus. It depends on how and what you shoot. So as we go into this menu here, currently I have it for meter and autofocus start on the half press. I am a manual shooter primarily, so I'm not bothered about back button focus. It's of no interest to me. I'm not a big fan of it because I find my thumb kind of gets in the way when I'm trying to do it anyway, so I prefer the half press on all my cameras. So my shutter release button is to activate the metering and the autofocus start. So this button, AF on, currently does nothing, and AE lock is this button here. So it's there should I shoot in aperture priority. Okay. We can have it as the shutter release, meter, AF and start, that's the same as before. AF on is now the autofocus, the auto exposure lock, so you can switch it from this button, and then this button becomes the autofocus stop. If the autofocus starts, when you half press the meter it starts autofocusing, and you can tell it to stop should it be in a continuous or tracking mode by pressing that button. Now if we go back, you can have it start the metering on the half press and autofocus start. The AF on button can now be used to stop autofocus. So once you've started it, if the camera is in AI servo or continuous mode, it's tracking, and you then want it to stop, you can tell it to do so. And the auto exposure lock is back to this button here. Number 5, metering start, AF start on the shutter release, AE lock or auto exposure lock on the AF on button, meter start and AF start on the starred button here, or the auto exposure lock button as it was configured originally. So you can have this double duty, some of these buttons, or you can rearrange which does what based on how you shoot. Okay. Number 4, auto exposure lock on the half press on the shutter button, auto exposure lock on AF on, and the metering and autofocus start on this button. So the half press is only for the auto exposure lock. You can start your autofocus and metering from a rear button. Okay, probably more applicable to someone who's shooting wildlife and you're switching compositions a lot and you're tracking subjects and so forth there. Number 3, auto exposure lock, AF on, meter and AF start, and auto exposure lock button again. So some of these start to both do the same duty. Okay, in some of these configurations. Option 2, half press on the shutter release on the front, metering start, and AF on button will lock your metering, will auto exposure lock, and the metering and AF start on the rear button here, which would be the one with the star. So it's kind of the minus zoom button. And option 1, start metering, AF on, meter and AF start, and AE lock is the AE lock button as it was originally configured. Now, why I have mine, oops, there is another option, metering and AF start on the front. So that's similar to how I have mine, AF on, metering and AF start. So basically, if you work with somebody who's a back button focuser and you use the front button, the front shutter release button on half press, you can configure the camera like this, and that way it's going to do both configurations out of the bag straight away. So somebody else can pick it up who's a back button shooter and can run it, and you can run it on the shutter release should you wish to, and then the traditional auto exposure lock there. I very rarely use the back button focus. Like I say, I find it quite annoying with my thumb being quite close to my head. I don't tend to do that, and I've just always it's automatic now, it's just second nature. I always go on the half press. And like I say, most of the time I shoot in manual mode, so I'm not worried about the focus recompose and changes in metering. Now there is another option there, meter AF start, AF on, AE lock, or no function for the auto exposure lock there. So there's quite a few options. Okay, AF on button is no function there for me. Auto exposure lock for me is that button there, should I be in aperture priority, and to start my AF and my metering on the half press. So that's why I have it on option 8. So quite a few options, depends on how you shoot and what you shoot. If you're unsure, or you've had someone tell you, oh, you should use back button focus, well, go try it yourself and make your own decision. There is no should or shouldn't with these modes, it's a preference. If you're a left-eyed shooter, then back button focus probably not going to work for you, because your thumb's got to then get across to it and it's going to be poking you in the eye. Not good. So you might want to use the half press. But go try it, see which one works for you, okay, and move on from there. So in the next part of the video, we're going to have a look at the assign the set button option. So this is this button here in this dial here, so we can tell it what we want it to do when we press that button. So we'll have a look at that now. Okay, so assign set button. We can have it either set like I have here, okay, to show white balance. And I'm just going to take us back through to the end one here. Default, no function, so it does nothing. Out of the bag, out of the box, does nothing. Okay, the set button is there for when you're in the menus and you set an option and hit, pick an option, hit set, so it sets that option within the menu. Other than that, it does no general function. Okay, option 1 is image quality. You can hit set to jump to image quality, so you will be able to change okay, the image quality quite quickly by hitting set, alright, and selecting raw, medium JPEG. Camera's currently set to shoot on medium JPEG only. In fact, let's change that, raw and no JPEG. Okay, there we go. So if you're constantly finding you're switching raw file sizes, JPEG, shooting raw, changing those options, you might want to have that set to quickly get to those options for you. So we'll go back in to the menu. Okay, picture style. There. So you hit set and you can get to the picture style options. Don't forget, we can get to any of these by hitting the quick menu and scrolling through to the picture style there, for example, and also the image quality or the image size options there in the format options. That's why I tend to have mine set for white balance. Okay, so we'll go back here. Option number 3 is white balance, and this is where I have mine. On the top plate on the LCD, or the top LCD for the 60D, there is no white balance option. On some of the more advanced cameras, or the high-end ones, you'll find the white balance will be set on the, I believe, let me check, yep, the metering option. So on my 5D2, I can hit the top button on the LCD plate, and the front dial and rear dial will change either the white balance or the metering mode there without having to go into a menu. On the 60D, it's a smaller body, we lose that functionality. So I've assigned the set button to get me to a quick white balance change. So if I want to shoot video with the video lights, I can switch to Kelvin, that's generally set to that. Custom white balance, flash, fluorescent, tungsten, cloudy, shade, daylight, or auto there. So I tend, because white balance is something I tend to go to more than changing the picture style or the image quality settings, it's more valuable to me using that for white balance. So we'll go back. Option 4, flash exposure compensation. Okay, now, yeah, I didn't set that, did I? Option 4, flash exposure compensation. Now there's no flash attached at the moment. So the good thing about the Canon system, and this isn't me by the way having a go of the Nikon system, is in aperture priority, shutter priority, you can do camera or ambient light exposure compensation and flash exposure compensation separately, still shooting in the semi-automatic modes. With Nikon you have to go to full manual to gain that control, and of course if you go to manual on Canon you've got full control there as well. So we can tell the flash no, we want 1 stop more, 2 stop more, 3 stops more or less light. Okay, so typically for when you're shooting in ETTL and it gives you an image and you go, oh, that's a little bit wrong, I need a bit more. You can tell it, give me more flash power, give me less flash power. It's like exposure compensation for ambient light on your camera, give me more light, give me less light. Okay, so I'll go back there, and because I don't shoot in ETTL a whole lot, I'm not really interested in that. So, viewfinder. Okay, now we can have the level guide in the viewfinder, which uses the metering bar on this, okay, to tell you whether the image is level. So once you've activated it, the needle and the metering bar kind of goes from left to right to kind of level it off. It's not quite as advanced as the one that's in the 7D or other bodies, but it's there just so you can get a horizontal level shot to help you. Obviously we can't see that through the viewfinder here, it's a little difficult to get a shot through that. Given the lenses I've got, they won't really focus that close. So we'll go back into the menu and we're on to default. So I'm going to put that back to white balance there. That's where I like it. Okay. Again, it depends on what you shoot, how you shoot, set it to how you wish. Number 3, direct dial turning on AV. Okay. Oh, dial direction turning, sorry. You can, on the aperture priority, shutter priority, reverse the direction of the changes. Mine's on normal at the moment. Let me put this thing into aperture priority. Okay, here. So, oops. Let's go up to aperture. Okay, so mine's the normal way round. If we change that, we can reverse the direction, okay, accordingly, so it goes down and up that way. This could be helpful if someone's picking up your camera coming from a different system, if it goes the other way, or if you just prefer working in the other direction on the mode dials. I've always just left mine on normal. Okay, focusing screen. You can change the focusing screen on the 60D. Currently it has the default one in the EFA, the EFD and the EFS are available separately. Okay, one is better for close focusing. I believe that's the EFS, I think. The EFD has the grid lines and horizontal lines to aid composition and rule of thirds. So depending on what you shoot, you can change the focusing screen out. Although that said, I still think it's damn hard to manually focus with a DSLR anyway, because the viewfinders aren't generally that big. So the next one, number 5, add image verification data. This is a separate kit you can get from Canon, and to add verification data to the images. It could be for extra security for files, but it's a separate hardware piece in conjunction with working with their Canon professional image processing software. I don't use that, so I've never gone into the details of this, so we won't be going any further with that here. I simply don't own the kit. I'm not about to go buy it either. Okay, and we're back to that. Option 1. So that's just a quick look through custom function menu number 4. Again, it depends on how you shoot, what you shoot. If you're unsure, don't let anybody tell you you should use back button focus, you should use this, 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 and this. Go try it yourself and see what works for you. Everybody's different. Some people shoot with the left eye, the right eye. Some people prefer using the back button compared to the front. Some people the other way around. So just find your own way and see what works for you. And there we go. Now the last thing we're going to have a quick look at in this video, because it doesn't really take very long, is clear all custom functions. All you have to do is hit set and then OK, and it will clear any custom functions you've set. It's like a factory reset for all the custom functions. So if you end up in a bit of a mess thinking, oh my god, what have I done and where am I with my settings, you can get it back to factory in respect of the custom functions there, and going into that option should you wish to. Or you could come back and by all means watch my videos. Shameless plug. Okay, in the next video we'll have a look at the My menu, which is the green star there, where we can assign our own quick access to options that we like to change quite often depending on how we shoot. So we'll have a look at that in the next one. As always, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. If you feel that these videos are helpful and will help somebody, then let them know about them. I've posted them in a couple of groups online myself just to introduce people to them. Say, look, I don't want to be accused of spamming these, but if they're of help to people who've just got the 60D, because that's what I do them for, is to help them or to help people, then here they are. If they're of no interest, then no problem, that's okay. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I will catch you guys in the next video.